Hey guys, welcome to today's video and welcome on into my beauty stash. Today I am going to be ranking 17 fall palettes that have already dropped this season. You guys know that the brands give us a head start when it comes to their fall makeup releases, and I definitely have some winners and not so much winners to share with you guys today. I have reviews and looks up with all of these palettes. So I'm gonna have my eyeshadow palette playlist linked in a pinned comment so that way you guys can go check them out in case you missed any of these videos. If it is your first time here on my channel, I just want to say hello and welcome to all of you. My name is Steff and I love talking about makeup. I do multiple looks with eyeshadow palettes, ranking new makeup, trying new makeup, which I'm trying a new foundation today. You guys will see that video go up really soon. It's the latest one from Estee Lauder, but we just have a great time here talking about makeup. If that sounds great to you, I want to invite you to become part of our makeup family. Do me a favor, click on that subscribe button, hit the bell next to it. That way you can be notified every time I do drop a new video. And if you are a fan of eyeshadow palettes, indie makeup, you just want to see a good old-fashioned makeup ranking video, be sure to give this video a thumbs up before you go. As usual, guys, all the makeup that I'm wearing, which we will do a little quick tutorial over this eyeshadow look in today's video, I'll have everything linked in the description box. Some of those links might be affiliate links, so if you do end up shopping through them, I thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. Let's get this video started, guys. If y'all want to see how the latest fall eyeshadow palettes have ranked in my stash, keep on watching. Okay, so let's get started with number 17, and this should come as no surprise to those of you who have been watching my channel this season, the latest palette from Too Faced. This is the Too Faced Maple Syrup Pancakes palette. Cute cover art, you gotta give them that. Cute cover art, but cardboard packaging. I know a lot of you are used to the tin packaging, as am I. Usually their fall releases are in the tin packaging. This is the color story, which initially I was intrigued by this color story, but the shadows are just very lackluster. I mean, this palette retails for about $56, which is definitely a price increase from palettes of the past. It is not worth $56. So I've played with this palette a couple times since initially filming with it, and you know, my experiences are just mediocre at best. While I think the mattes perform pretty decent, sometimes the shimmers, they don't pack that punch. Even when I spray my brush, you know, it feels like when I swatched this palette initially, it felt like it already had hard pan. And now that I've gone back to use my Too Faced Italian Spritz palette, which was their spring release, that already has hard pan, and that was released like in March or April of this year. So this palette, as I opened it, you know, new, already felt like it had a hard pan. I can imagine what it's going to feel like at the end of October. So if you had your eye on this, maybe you collect these palettes year after year, please don't pay full price for it. That is the only thing I can tell you if you don't want to skip out on it, but maybe wait for it to go to TJ Maxx because you know it will, or wait for Ulta or Too Faced themselves to put it on sale because you know they will. I would hate for you guys to pay full price for this palette. That's why it's finding itself in the bottom spot. Coming in the number 16 spot. So let me preface the rest of these palettes by saying I think the rest of these palettes are actually pretty good. So it's just going to be a matter of like personal preference, color stories, whatnot on how I rank them. So coming in at number 16 are these little Fantasy Maker palettes from Wet n Wild. I actually think these are really good quality, but the only reason I am putting them in this number 16 spot is because these were released last year and possibly even the year before. So I thought they were new. I forgot actually that I had these already in my stash. I do tend to get PR from Wet n Wild sometimes. So they had sent me these last year and I didn't know, and I went out and bought them. But the only one that is new for this year is this one right here. This one is the Eyes on the Dragon palette. And there you can see it. I do have a look with each palette. It was trying like all the latest Wet n Wild Fantasy Makers Halloween collection, which I think they're releasing another collection. I think there was something about a doll or something like that. I don't quite remember. But I thought these palettes all performed really well. If you're looking for something inexpensive, and who isn't right now, these palettes would actually be pretty cool to check out. But do keep in mind, if you picked them up last year, they are the same for this year. Coming in at number 15 is the Dose of Colors and Trevor collaboration. This is the Eternal Love palette. So Dose of Colors has dropped 2 new eyeshadow palettes this year. This is the second one. Trevor is an amazing makeup artist. I follow him over on Instagram. He's as cute as can be. He's so sweet, and he always does really beautiful makeup looks. I love his tutorials. I love the advice, the tips that he shares with his audience, and I love everything that he's created with this palette. What I like about this palette is that we get a lot of neutral mattes. You get a black one down here, and then you have some more brown, warmer tone mattes up at the top, and then you have the colorful shimmer shadows. I will say the shimmer shadows in here, don't expect them to be a really intense shimmers. These are like mainstream brand shimmers, to where they're not going to pack the same punch as our indie makeup shimmers. They're not going to be like multi-chrome or duochrome, although some of them do have a little bit of a shift to them. So I definitely would recommend spraying your brush and maybe even using a glitter primer to really make them pop. But I like this palette. I think it was a cute collection. He released an eyeliner. I want to say there was like a lip gloss or lipstick or something like that. I just thought they did a great job with it, and I've had fun. I've enjoyed using it. I've used it once since initially filming with it. Same great experience as before, and I'm really happy for Dose of Colors and Trevor. Okay, so really quick, if you hear some weird noise in the background, it is not coming from inside my house. It's actually a flock of parrots that are nesting, not nesting, but have just arrived to my olive tree that is in the back. So we usually get parrots in the neighborhood from time to time, but I usually don't notice them until in the evening. But they're here right now. Maybe they're snacking on something for lunch because it is lunchtime. Coming in at number 14 is the Beauty Bay Rich palette. So this is a really affordable palette, as are all Beauty Bay palettes. This one comes in at about $20, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is already on sale on the Beauty Bay website. This is a 16 pan color story full of matte and shimmer shadows. Now, I didn't have any issues with this palette. I was able to work from light to medium to deep with regard to the matte shadows. That is typically how I do my makeup looks, my eye looks. I always start with the lightest and end with the deepest. But a lot of you, when it comes to Beauty Bay palettes, you have said that you should work with the deepest and going into the lightest. You know, I tried both ways initially when I did my review over this palette, and both ways seem to work. So just do you when it comes to this palette. I do remember getting a little bit of fallout with this one, so I would recommend a glitter primer for those shimmers, also to help them pop a little bit more. And I'll say that, you know, out of all the Beauty Bay palettes that I've had, only one has been really a dud. The rest of them have all performed really well. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another Beauty Bay palette before the season is over, because I don't think this is their Halloween palette. This is like their fall palette, but I know last year they did a Halloween palette. So I'm really hoping we get one more from Beauty Bay before the end of 2023. So coming in at number 13 is the Urban Decay Naked Metal Mania palette. I love stars, so this print automatically a winner for me. This is that hard plastic packaging, which is very sturdy, very durable. You do get a full-size mirror there. You get your dual-ended brush, which I did use in my initial review and tutorial over this palette. And we have some nice neutral shadows. The shimmers that are in this palette really pack a punch. I think there was only one, and it was like this one that was okay, but the rest of them up here, especially like these two and this fuchsia one and the gold, they're really intense. I think Urban Decay did a nice job with this naked palette. If you're looking to update your naked palette stash, I actually think this would be a nice one to pick up. I like that we get the matte black, the dark matte brown, and then you have some lighter neutral shadows to blend into the crease. You know, I think it's a cute palette. I think it performed really well, much better than the Too Faced quality-wise. And I like it. Good job from Urban Decay. Coming in at number 12 is the Gourmand Girls and Doodles by the Bunny Haunted palette. Look at how cute that artwork is, which of course Angela, aka Doodles by the Bunny over on Instagram, she's the one who designs, you know, all of the artwork and stuff. And then we open it up, you do get a mirror, and then here are the beautiful shadows. So I think the color story is beautiful. I mean, look at that green in there, and then this one down here with these really fun pops of yellow, this green shimmer shadow. Love that we're getting a matte black. And then this shade right here is kind of like a gray purplish shade. And then this is a true purple up here. And then of course we have the beautiful like duochrome specialty shadows. The only reason I'm not putting this a little bit higher on my list is because I do think it is really similar to their previous release from July, I think, or beginning of August, which was the Nightshade palette. I think that they're nice complements to one another. I don't think they're identical, but just looking at them, they really do look very similar to where I can understand if you have Nightshade, you probably weren't too excited about Haunted, or if maybe you didn't get Nightshade, now you're gonna get Haunted instead. There are some differences like with the undertones. I think Nightshade has some brighter shadows. This one has some more deeper tones, maybe a little bit more grungy tones. If you have them both, great. I mean, I love Gourmand Girls, so definitely, you know, I'm a fan of the brand. I would recommend picking them up both, but I understand if you don't feel the need to have them both. And so I think maybe there could have been a couple shadows that could have been changed out for other colors, but this is the vision Angela and Christina, the owner of Gourmand Girls, had for this palette. So more power to them. They did create a beautiful palette. If you want to buy anything off of the Gourmand Girls website, I do have an affiliate code with them, and it is Steff. That will give you 10% off of your order. We're going to get into some indie brands now, so if I have an affiliate code, I'm just going to be putting it down here, and it's always in the description box. That way you guys can save a little bit of money. To my knowledge, they did bundle this palette with Nightshade, and I think they also bundled it with the Secret Grow palette, which you will see on this list. It's a little bit higher. So I like it. I think it's cute, but I understand, you know, those of you that have said, you know, it just looks too much like Nightshade. Totally get it. That's why it's finding itself in the number 12 spot. Coming in at number 11 is a palette that just dropped, a recent addition into my stash, and we are talking about the Oden's Eye and Angelica Little Ghost palette. This is one of two palettes in their latest collaboration. The collection is called the Helaween collection, which I think is very appropriately titled given the season. Love the artwork on here. Oden's Eye just did a phenomenal job, as they usually do, with the cover art on the palettes, and then you know, the packaging of the lip products. I just think it's overall a really visually appealing collection. Here is the color story. Now you're probably thinking, Steph, you love colorful makeup, but why are you putting this one, you know, kind of in the bottom half? Well, there's a reason. I had a better experience. I was just surprisingly more into the Trick or Treat palette, which you will see later on in today's video, than I was with this one. I felt more inspired by that other palette, even though it was more of like a neutral palette. But for me, it had those two fun pops of green. So, you know, I thought this one was going to be my favorite, but it turns out Trick or Treat is my favorite. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. I do love this color story though very much. I love blues, I love yellows, I love all of these specialty shadows. I will say you have got to use glitter primer with this one. What I did notice about these two palettes was you do get fallout from the shimmers. So I use the one from NYX. It's affordable, it does the job, but I think the color story, the layout of the shadows is perfect. Like I can totally see this, you know, being something that Angelica dreamt up because she loves her colorful makeup looks. The yellow is great. This was the only shade they gave me a little bit of trouble, but I've used it once since initially filming and the purple acted fine. So I'm gonna give it a pass. I love it. I think it's a beautiful palette, but this is a ranking video and I have others that I love just a little bit more, and that's why this one is finding itself in the number 11 spot. Coming in at number 10 is a drugstore eyeshadow palette that a lot of you guys have been on board with. You told me that you've ordered it because it recently dropped at Ulta, and it's this one right here. This is from NYX. Okay, I'm obsessed with flamingos, so automatically I had to pick up this collection. I ordered everything from the NYX website, but this is their Ultimate Flamingo Frost palette. Guys, this is a pretty solid little 16 pan eyeshadow palette. Pink and greens, and then you have like this deep red and you have a matte black. The shimmers are fantastic. Like they're not multi-chromes, they're not duochromes, but they're impactful shimmers. Definitely spray your brush. If you wanted to use the NYX glitter primer with this one, you could. I didn't really feel the need to do so. But isn't this such a cute color story? A different take on a holiday palette. I know these are all like fall makeup releases. Technically, this would be like a winter release, I guess. But this is the only Christmas-based palette that I have in today's ranking video. But I've enjoyed it. I think it's just a really solid little 16-pan palette. Easy to travel with, easy to take with you on the go. It is available right now at Ulta and of course on the NYX website. Coming in at number 9 is a palette I know a lot of you have ordered already, and with good reason. It is the latest palette from Tarte. This is their Maneater Nightfall palette. I love the packaging. This is the same packaging as last year's Maneater After Dark palette, except that one was black and this one is a beautiful maroon. When we open the palette up, you do get a full-size mirror, and here is the color story. I think this is rather colorful for Tarte, and I love it. I love the blues, the greens, little plum down here. I just thought that this palette performed so well. I had fun. Anytime I use this palette, I love looking at it because I love the packaging, and then I love even more what's inside. I think Tarte did a really good job with this one. This would make a beautiful gift, as would last year's. If you didn't pick up last year's, maybe you can get last year's on sale, but I think both of them would make beautiful, beautiful gifts. I do think that this year's is more colorful than last year's, and I definitely think it's worth adding to your stash. Coming in at number 8 is the Too Cute Plumeria Dragon palette from Sugar Drizzle. I do have an affiliate code with Sugar Drizzle. It is Steff10. That will give you 10% off of your order. And yes, I did order the new Sugar Drizzle palette for Halloween that just came out. It's already shipped, so as soon as I get it, I will be creating some looks for you guys really soon. But this is what Plumeria Dragon looks like. Now you have to be a pink and purple makeup lover in order to appreciate this palette. I know some of you kind of stay away from pinks and reds. I get it. You know, we all have our favorite colors. But for those of you that love a good pink shadow, this is definitely going to be a palette you need to pick up. I'm not entirely sure if this is in stock or if it's on pre-order. I'm sure if it's out of stock, Nikki, the owner, will restock it at some point because she usually goes a couple rounds with her palettes. But I thought that this palette performed really well. This would be a nice companion palette. Even if you picked up like this Tarte Maneater After Dark, you could use the mattes that are in that palette and then pair them with the specialty shadows that are in this one. You do get a mirror over here, and look at how cute that is. Sugar Drizzle just always does a good job with the artwork on their palettes, and Plumeria Dragon is no exception. Coming in at number 7 is the Nomad Cosmetics Ghost Town USA palette. I'm gonna try and go to a ghost town. I know there's plenty here in Texas as soon as I can. This one I believe is based off of, Was it somewhere here in Texas or California? I don't fully remember. It could be California. I don't know. Leave me a comment if you know which ghost town this is based off of. But this is a beautiful color story. So I think this is more of a cool tone color story. But usually Nomad Cosmetics, which I do have an affiliate code with them, Steff or Steff 10. It'll be down here. It'll save you 10% off. What Nomad Cosmetics does is they always divide the palette up. So like one half will be warm, one half will be cool. I feel like this is definitely a little more cool than warm, or maybe cool to neutral than warm, but I love it. I love this. And if you love your cool tone shadows, I would imagine that you ordered this already. The shimmers are beautiful. The mattes are super pigmented. And I love this color story. I just think it's the perfect vibe for spooky season. It's the perfect transitional palette from fall into winter. I mean, you could definitely use this all year round, don't get me wrong, but there's just something extra special about this one. I always love the Nomad Cosmetics eyeshadow formula, and they too, like Sugar Drizzle, always have beautiful artwork with their palettes. What I love about Nomad Cosmetics is that they're not just selling you a palette. They are also giving back to the area, the city, the region where the palette is based. 5% of the proceeds, they always go to benefit a local charity in that area. So I think that is great. You don't often see a lot of brands doing that, but that is one of the main reasons why I will be a Nomad Cosmetics supporter and fan for many years to come, because they're not just selling us something, they're also giving back to a community. Coming in at the number 6 spot is the beautiful Sumerian Sunset palette from Adept Cosmetics. This is the eyeshadow palette that I currently have on my eyes, and yes, we will get to that quick tutorial in a bit. Here's this gorgeous color story. So as in true Adept Cosmetics fashion, you have a limited number of matte shadows and then the rest. So in this case, you have 10 beautiful dimensional shimmer shadows, multi-chromes, duochromes alike, very putty-like texture, very softly pressed, so just be careful with that. And then you have your 5 matte shadows at the bottom. I think this is a beautiful color story, not just necessarily for fall, but this is definitely a year-round color story. I mean, the shimmers, this is what Adept Cosmetics does best. It's their specialty shimmer formula, their duochrome formula, their multi-chrome formula. I do recommend a glitter primer. The one I use today is NYX, which you will see a little bit later in this video, but also Adept Cosmetics on their website, they do recommend going in with your favorite glitter primer just so that these shadows can adhere better to the lid, and that really does help to alleviate any fallout. I think they did a phenomenal job with this one. I love this green grungy shade, and then I love like this more cooler tone green. The packaging, that ombre faux leather on there, that is stunning. Great job, Adept Cosmetics. And I do have a code with them, Steff 10. It's down here, and that will give you 10% off of your order at Adept. Now we're getting into the top 5 palettes. So coming in at number 5 is the Secret Grove palette from Gourmand Girls. This palette launched a few days before the Haunted palette did, and this palette was part of the Ice Cream Beauty box for the month of August, or is it September? August or September, I forget. But this is a really cute 12 pan palette. Christina, the owner of Gourmand Girls, designed this palette herself, in and out. She was the one who came up with the color story, and if you'll notice, this is a very matte heavy palette, which is a little bit unusual for Gourmand Girls. They are typically, I think, more of an equal split or maybe a slightly more shimmer heavy palette than they are matte heavy. I thought this was a nice change of pace for the brand, and you can see why I love it because of the greens, because of the yellow. But look at this fun pop of red and then the pop of pink over here. These are the 2 shimmer shadows that you have. This one is a little bit smoother. This one has a little bit more texture. I would recommend a glitter primer for both. The mattes are beautiful. They're buttery, they're smooth, they're pigmented, they're easy to work with and blend out. I think this is a great palette, especially for those of you that maybe don't do all matte looks very often. This would be a nice palette to kind of challenge yourself with. I found myself, and I have found myself since initially filming with this palette, creating all matte looks with it, and I love it. So maybe you want to pick this up. It's inexpensive. I think it's like $28.99, less of course, you know, my discount code or anybody else's discount code that will save you 10% off. And I want to say this is also bundled with the Haunted palette, so you can get their two latest palettes together at a discounted price. I definitely think it's worth picking up. I like this one a little more than I do Haunted, just because I feel like I'm challenged when I work with this palette, just because I don't always create all matte looks, and I like that. I want to be challenged when I'm working with my makeup from time to time, because that's what helps, you know, foster creativity. And for those of you out there who maybe have not wanted to pick up all matte heavy palettes, think of this as a companion palette to maybe the Adept Cosmetics Sumerian Sunset palette. You can use the mattes that are in Secret Grove and then pair it with the Adept Sunset. I think that would be a great pairing, but then you can also bring in your maybe singles of multi-chromes and duochromes that you have from your other favorite indie brands. But I think this is a cute palette both inside and out, and I'm really happy I have this one. Coming in at number 4 are one of 2 Halloween releases from Bella Beauty Bar. So in the number 4 spot, we have the Basic Witch palette. I was thinking this was their one and done Halloween release, but they weren't done yet. And who knows, maybe they aren't done yet either with the release of their last palette. So Basic Witch, to my knowledge, is on pre-order because it's sold out. It sold out really quick, I think within 4 hours the day that it launched. And then you're gonna see another palette in this little ranking video. It's coming up. That other palette should be in stock. So this is the more purple pink palette. I think this is the more colorful palette of the two. I like this palette a lot. I think that the matte shades, again, buttery, blendable, smooth, kind of similar to what is in the Secret Grove palette from Gourmand Girls. The shimmers in this are just, they're phenomenal. Bella Beauty Bar, and I do have a code with them. I believe it is Steff10. 10% off of your order. Bella Beauty Bar, I've said it several times already, and I'm gonna say it again. They keep getting better and better with each release. They have just created some of the most beautiful color stories with their specialty shimmer formula of multi-chromes and duochromes. I mean, it just makes their palettes next level. And I know some of you have commented, oh, the prices, you know, they're a little high and whatnot. And I totally get it, guys. Like, prices on everything just, you know, go up, and especially when you're formulating these type of more expensive shadows, you know, it's natural that if the factory is charging Bella Beauty Bar more, then they of course need to charge more for the palette when they sell them. It's just the times we're living in. But thank goodness for affiliate codes, for discount codes, if you want to save a little bit of money there. But I know a lot of you, this is going to be your one and done Halloween palette for the season, and you're not going to regret it. This is a great palette to have in your stash. And I think it's cute, like a simple cover art, but it's still fun. Like, it still fits the season. I love it. Coming in at number 3 is the second palette in the Oden's Eye and Angelica Helaween collection, and this is the Trick or Treat palette. I didn't think this one was going to be my favorite of the two, just from looking at them without using them. I was no Little Ghost, that is going to be my favorite. Turns out, nope. Trick or Treat is the palette that I drew the most inspiration from. I just love it. I think this is a great palette for those of you who love your neutral shadows, but still want a few pops of color in there, a few brighter pops of color. But this is such a versatile palette. You can be neutral, work ready, or you can be fun, bling, going out in the evening palette. I mean, there's just so much you can do with a palette like this. This is the more warmer tone palette of the two, and I just think they did a great job. Like, I really had a good time with this palette. If you were only going to be able to pick one up, I would make it the Trick or Treat. That's just my opinion. The cover art on both of them is very similar with some minor changes like to the background colors. I love it. And the lippies that came in the Helaween collection are a must have. If you're gonna order anything from the collection, get this palette and get the lippy bundle, and then you're gonna be all set. Coming in at number 2 is the second palette from Bella Beauty Bar, and this is the Recently De-Influenced palette. Such a cool name, cool artwork, a little more Halloweenish, I think, on the artwork. Then we open it up. This is another warm tone palette, so kind of similar to Trick or Treat over here. This is such a good one. This is so, so good, so solid. Look at this matte green down here. It kind of gets lost because the mattes are mainly on this side, but don't forget, you have this beautiful hunter green at the bottom. Guys, the formulas in these shimmers are spectacular. This is such a fun palette to work with. I love that this is also a versatile palette to where if you needed to create something a little more simple for everyday workwear, you could just do a couple of these more neutral shades in the crease and then pick one of the lighter shimmers and just throw it on in the center of the lid and call it a day. This is a beautiful palette for the season, and not just for the season, definitely for year round, but you definitely get those fall vibes with this one. I can't say enough good things about it. I had a great time working with this palette. It's just a winner. It's another winner from Bella Beauty Bar, a brand that just keeps getting better and better. And last, but definitely not least, my favorite, my number 1 palette so far for fall of 2023 comes to us from It's Belle Cosmetics. This is their Pixie Grove palette. Guys, this is a really cute 12-pan color story. You're getting some lighter shades in here, and then some mid-tone shades, and then the deeper tone shades, the peach and the green, the little pop of mint right there. And this formula of specialty duochrome shadows is beautiful. I mean, this formula is so good. I do not have an affiliate code anymore with It's Belle Cosmetics. They did away with their affiliate codes for now, but I think they have like a 10% coupon on their website if you want to check that out. But this is not an expensive palette to start with. I want to say it's like $42 maybe, $38.99, something like that, and then less, of course, the 10% off. But this is a great palette to work with. It's a beautiful color story. If you've never tried It's Belle Cosmetics before, please look at them, give them a chance. This is a gorgeous palette that performs so well. I love this one. I love that you can do fun, creative, colorful looks, or you can do neutral looks with it as well. You can just use 2 shadows and call it a day with this one, or you can use 4 or 5 the way I like to. But I think It's Belle did a great job with their Pixie Grove palette, and that's why it's in the number 1 spot. Now I'm going to share with you how I got this look using the Adept Cosmetics Sumerian Sunset palette. Okay guys, so that wraps up today's video over my fall palettes for 2023. These are the newest palettes to have hit indie brands, Ulta stores, Sephora, drugstores near you. Let me know what your favorite palette so far is of fall 2023, or what is your worst so far of fall 2023. Leave it in the comments down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. You all have a great day or night wherever it is you all are at. Stay hydrated, guys. Drink your water, and I'm going to see you all very soon. Bye.